We are on the record for hearings in the matters listed in the North Dakota Industrial Commission hearing docket for November 15th. I am David Garner, hearing examiner for these hearings. We are at the hearing room for the Department of Mineral Resources, Oil and Gas Division, and it is 9 a.m. On the docket, the following matters will be continued or dismissed. Case number 30480, continued. Case number 30497, continued. Moving to the supplement. Case number 30419, continued. Case number 30422, dismissed. Case number 30423, dismissed. Case number 30338, continued. Case number 30339, continued. Case number 30340, continued. Case number 30343, continued. Case number 30344, continued. Case number 30345, continued. Case number 30346, continued. Case number 30436, continued. The administrative docket starts on page 3 with case number 30484 and goes through case number 30509 and includes the docket supplement with case numbers 30534, 30535, 30536, 30537. These cases will be heard in the next room with Michael.
Also on the second supplement, 30436 is an administrative case.
Oh, okay, that's right. It's been continued.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
My mistake. That also includes 30436. These cases will be heard in the next room with Michael Zisch. Audio recordings of the cases on the administrative docket will be placed on the oil and gas website by the end of the week. If you wish to appear in one of the matters on the administrative docket, please appear in the next room. If there is opposition to the matter, it will be brought back into this hearing room to be heard, and your statements and evidence will be taken. We will begin by moving to case number 30477. Application of Burlington Resources Oil and Gas Company, LP, for an order amending the applicable orders for the Haystack Butte and/or Lone Butte Bakken pools to establish an overlapping stand-up 1920-acre spacing unit described as Section 31, Township 148 North, Range 97 West, and Section 6 and 7, Township 147 North, Range 97 West, Dunn County, North Dakota, and authorize 6 horizontal wells to be drilled on such unit. All interested parties, please come forward.
Thank you, Mr. Examiner. Wade Mann, P.O. Box 2798, Bismarck, North Dakota, appearing in this case on behalf of Burlington Resources Oil and Gas Company, LP. I have 3 witnesses appearing telephonically, Maggie McDaniel, Brian Sitek, and Nick Stavisky, and they should all 3 be on the line right now.
Ms. McDaniel,
Yes,
do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
yes, I do.
Maggie, can I have you state your name, by whom you're employed, and in what capacity, and give us your business address?
Yes, this is Maggie McDaniel. I work at ConocoPhillips as a landman, and our address is 925 North Eldridge Parkway, Houston, Texas, 77079.
And Maggie, have you previously testified before the commission?
Yes, I have.
Have you had your qualifications received as that of an expert?
Yes,
And are you familiar with the land matters associated with the proposed spacing unit?
yes, I am.
Mr. Examiner, I'd move the testimony of Ms. McDaniel be received as that of an expert.
Motion granted.
And Maggie, let's start with your Exhibit 1.1. Can you identify the proposed spacing unit?
Yes. The proposed spacing unit is Section 31, Township 148, Range 97, in Section 6 and 7, Township 147, Range 97.
Okay. Let's move on to 1.2, and if you can take us through the working interest in that proposed spacing unit.
Yes, the interest in the proposed 1920 spacing unit, Burlington Resource has 41%, Grayston Mills has 26%, and Interplus has 18%, and the rest you can see on the exhibit.
Okay. And then the next page, you have the breakdown of the underlying spacing. Just take us through that.
Yes, that's correct. So Grayston Mills operates Section 31, and I have the interest above. And then below is the Tilton DSU that we operate that covers Section 6 and 7, and you can see the breakdown there.
Maggie, have you had any communications with any of these other working interest owners with respect to your spacing and development plan?
Yes, we've worked with partners who own at least 10% of the proposed 1920. So that would be Grayston Mill and Interplus.
Did either of those companies have any objection to your spacing?
No, they're no objection. They're open for collaboration and are supportive.
Okay. I have no further questions off the land exhibits.
Exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff? Mr. Sytek,
Yes.
do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes.
Brian, can I have you state your name, by whom you're employed, and in what capacity, and give us your business address?
Yes. My name is Brian Sytek. I'm employed by ConocoPhillips as a geologist. My business address is 925 North Eldridge Park, Houston, Texas, 77079.
And Brian, have you previously testified before the commission?
Yes, I have.
Have you had your qualifications received as that of an expert?
Yes.
And are you familiar with the geology underlying the proposed spacing unit?
I am.
Okay, I'd move the testimony of Mr. Sytek be received as that of an expert.
Motion granted.
And Brian, let's start with exhibit number 2.1, if you can take us through that structure map.
Okay. Yeah, Exhibit 2.1 is a structure map showing 50-foot contours mapped on the Upper Bakken, the top of the Upper Bakken Shale. The red dashed line outlines the proposed 1920 spacing unit. What we see in this area is, gentle structure on the Upper Bakken Shale structure map. Gently dipping down, it's kind of from north to south. So really not much structure in the area, and certainly nothing that we would would cause us concern, as an impediment to production. We have mapped the Upper Bakken Shale structure because this is representative for the overall Bakken interval in the area.
Let's move on to your type log then, exhibit 2.2.
So this type log is the Lone Butte A1 vertical well. This well is about 2 miles south of Section 7 in the proposed DSU. I'm calling out the different intervals in the Bakken Three Forks pool on the left side of the type log, and indicating the prospective Bakken Three Forks target intervals with the gray stars on the right side of the type log. So we view the Middle Bakken, the Three Forks Bench 1 and Three Forks Bench 2 all as prospective targets for DSU.
And let's move on to Exhibit 2.3. If you can explain for us using that exhibit how you would intend to develop this proposed spacing unit.
Sure. So this diagram is showing, again, the proposed spacing unit outlined in red, and then the proposed laterals in the black lines with existing wells in the blue, orange, or green lines. So we are currently planning on drilling 6 15K or 3-mile laterals in this section. In the north-south orientation, and, kind of avoiding that one parent well in the middle.
Sure. I have no further questions for Mr. Sytek. I'd offer Exhibits 2.1 through 2.3.
The exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff?
Brian, at this time, have you identified which targets you are intending those individual wells to be drilled in?
At this time, we haven't designated which targets we'll be drilling, but likely it will be either Middle Bakken only or 2-layer Middle Bakken and Three Forks Bench 1. But we're still kind of evaluating offset production and our kind of reservoir maps to make that decision.
Okay, I will point out, since you identified TF2 and 3 as potential targets, that currently Lone Butte's Bakken pool is a 50-50 limit, meaning it's 50 feet above the top of Bakken to 50 feet below the top of the Three Forks, and is not expanded all the way to the Bird Bear. So if this spacing unit gets made or gets put in Lone Butte, you would need to amend that pool definition before you target those deeper zones. Your exhibit,
No, good.
yeah, your exhibit 3 is correct for Haystack Butte, but Lone Butte has a tighter definition on it. So just to be advised.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Zavisky,
Yes.
do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes, sir.
Nick, can I have you state your name, by whom you're employed, and in what capacity, and give us your business address?
Yes, Nicholas Stavisky. I work as a reservoir engineer for ConocoPhillips, and my business address is 935 North Eldridge Parkway, Houston, Texas 77079.
And Nick, have you previously testified before the commission?
Yes, I have.
Have you had your qualifications received as that of an expert?
Yes, I have.
And are you familiar with the engineering matters associated with the proposed spacing unit?
Yes, I am.
I'd move the testimony of Mr. Stavisky be received as that of an expert.
Motion granted.
And Nick, let's start with Exhibit 3.1. If you can explain for us how you would propose to drill and complete the wells in the spacing unit.
Yes. So, pretty standard 3-string design, given there isn't as much development in the area. This is a pretty low risk of having any drilling sort of complications. So we have a typical 3-string design. We have it shown here, targeting the Middle Bakken, which is the most prospective formation, with a liner, with our 30 to 50 stage completion job plug and perf style.
Okay. Let's move on to 3.2 then, if you can take us through your reservoir data.
Yeah, so again, we have our typical petrophysical model, which feeds kind of an average across the area to feed the assumptions to get our scope in place. Again, given these are 15K wells, they're a little bit the Q more is a little bit higher than we typically see for the 10K wells. Obviously, since it's more completed lateral, but typical, X-ray recovery in the about 5 to 10% range. It is a bit more porous the oil saturations a little bit higher than we typically in there. But other than that, pretty robust area.
Okay. And moving on to 3.3, if you can take us through the economics for the proposed wells.
Yeah, so here's the typical. So we are cost. I will say we own the minerals, as Maggie had mentioned. So the economics are quite a bit higher in terms of NPV, a rate of return and payout than the typical well. So we have our working interest matching our NRI. So yeah, here's the project. Very, very economic project for us.
So Nick, in your opinion, if the 1920 is established, is that going to prevent waste and protect relative rights?
Yes, sir. Yes, it will.
Okay. I have no further questions. I'd offer engineering exhibits and the gas capture plan affidavit.
The exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff? That concludes our hearing for case number 30477. Case number 30478, application of Petro Hunt LLC for an order amending the applicable orders for the Andrews Bakken Pool, Divide County, North Dakota, to 1, terminate 3 1280-acre spacing units described as sections 2 and 11, sections 3 and 10, and sections 4 and 5, Township 162 North, Range 99 West. 2, establish 2 overlapping 1920-acre spacing units described as sections 2, 3, and 11, and sections 5, 8, and 9, Township 162 North, Range 99 West, and authorize 1 horizontal well to be drilled on each such unit. 3, establish 2 overlapping 2560-acre spacing units described as sections 3, 4, 10, and 11, and sections 4, 5, 9, and 10, Township 162 North and Range 99 West, and authorize 1 horizontal well will be drilled in each such unit, or 4, granting such other relief as may be appropriate. All interested parties, please come forward.
Thank you, Mr. Examiner. Wade Mann, P.O. Box 2798, Bismarck, North Dakota, appearing in this case on behalf of Petro Hunt LLC. I will have 3 witnesses testifying in this case. Mike Dewald is present in the hearing room, and then it will be Dutch Cruz and Jason Stengel, and I'll call them now. Dutch, Jason, you guys there? All right. All right.
Mr. DeWald, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes, I do.
Mike, can I have you state your name, by whom you're employed, and in what capacity, and give us your business address?
Mike Dewald, landman for Petro Hunt, P.O. Box 935, Bismarck, North Dakota, 58502.
And Mike, have you previously testified before the commission?
I have.
Have you had your qualifications received as that of an expert?
Yes.
All right, and you're familiar with the land matters associated with the proposed spacing units today?
Yes, yes, I am.
Okay, I move the testimony of Mr. Dewald be received as that of an expert.
Motion granted.
And Mike, let's start with exhibit number 1. I guess that first proposed spacing unit, and if you can take us through your working interest.
Yep, Exhibit 1 depicts the 1920 of sections 2, 3, and 11, with Petro Hunt at a 46% working interest and Formentera at about a 50% working interest.
And then moving on to exhibit 2, the next 1920.
Yes, on Exhibit 2, the 1920 of 5, 8, and 9 are depicted with Petro Hunt at a roughly 40% working interest and Formentera at 45%.
And then moving on, exhibit number 3, the 2560, the first one.
Exhibit number 3 depicts the 2560 of 3, 4, 10, and 11. Petro Hunt is at roughly 47% working interest and Formentera at 52%.
And then the last 2560, exhibit number 4.
Yes, Exhibit 4 shows the 2560 of 4, 5, 9, and 10, with Petro Hunt at roughly 45% working interest and Formentera at 50%.
And Mike, just to confirm, in Dutch, you'll see it kind of on Dutch's exhibits, but due to the existing well configurations, you're not seeking to develop on those existing 1280s that you've identified, 211, 310, 4, and 5, is that correct?
That is correct.
So we're seeking to terminate those?
Yes.
Okay. And you've indicated that Formentera has fairly significant working interest in each of these spacing units. Have you had communications with them?
Yes, we reached out to Formentera. We informed them of this case, our intent to terminate those 1280s that are found in the case. They had no objections, and they said they would be okay with us continuing operations.
Okay. I have no further questions for Mr. D. Waldedoff for exhibits 1 through 4.
The exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff? Mr. Cruz,
Yes,
do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
I do.
Dutch, can I have you state your name, by whom you're employed, and in what capacity, and give us your business address?
Yes, my name is Dutch Cruz. I'm a geologist for Petro Hunt LLC. My business address is 600 17th Street, Suite 2550 South, Denver, Colorado, 80202.
And Dutch, have you previously testified before the commission?
I have.
Have you had your qualifications received as that of an expert?
I have.
And are you familiar with the geology underlying the proposed spacing units?
I am.
Okay, I'd move the testimony of Mr. Cruz be received as that of an expert.
Motion granted.
And Dutch, let's start with exhibit number 5. If you can take us through that structure map and then also kind of walk us through what your proposed development would look like on the 1920s.
Yes, so this is the index map for the two 1920 spacing units. The map below it has the top Bakken structure with a contour interval of 25 feet. The regional dip is gently to the south in this area. The map there has the existing wells in the pink color are existing Three Forks wells, and the brownish color are existing Middle Bakken wells. So the two proposed wells that we are, or the proposed wells on these two 1920 spacing units are dashed in black, and they will likely be drilled as upper bench Three Forks wells. And I do want to point out the type log there, kind of in the north middle half of section 9. I'll refer to that in a couple of slides. So just that type log is right in between the two proposed wells.
Yep. And then moving on to exhibit number 6, we've already kind of gone through the structure, but if you can describe what the development then on the 2560 portion.
Yes, so same structure, overlaying kind of Tetris blocks there for the 2560 spacing units. And the proposed wells are going to be, again, in the black dashed line. And these two will also likely be drilled as upper bench Three Forks wells.
Okay. And then let's move on then to the type log that you described, exhibit number 7, if you can take us through that exhibit.
Okay, this type log is a Red River dry hole drilled by Adobe Resources Corp., the Grenstad 22-9X. We have the compensated neutron density and resistivity logs, and we're showing the lower part of the lodgepole, the upper Bakken shale, the middle Bakken,
the lower Bakken Shale in the upper portion of the Three Forks Formation. Again, it's kind of typical Bakken petroleum system in this area. Got an upper shale thickness of 13 feet, a middle Bakken thickness of around 57 feet, a lower shale thickness of 26 feet, and then we've indicated our marker for the upper Three Forks unit in the blue color there, and we have an upper first bench of the Three Forks, which is about 16 feet thick, which Jason will use in some of his reservoir.
Sure.
Exhibit.
No further questions from Mr. Cruz. I'd offer exhibits 5 through 7.
The exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff?
Dutch, on Exhibit 6, would you be drilling from north to south or south to north?
We have them penciled in right now, drilling from south to north. That's kind of how the development is, but there's a lot of pads in the area and kind of already developed things, so we are going to try to be flexible, but where we have the pads drawn in now would be on the south end of the road section.
Do you plan this development to continue to the southeast to where you could use the same pads to drill some more diagonal wells?
Possibly, if these wells turn out to be economic, and I'm not sure offhand what our acreage position is to the southeast, but likely we would be able to do that. Yes.
Thanks.
Dutch, is there any reason you're not proposing any Middle Bakken targets in the area?
Yeah, this area is kind of north of the. Sorry, there's a little bit of feedback. There you go. In this area, we're a little bit outside of the main core of the Bakken play, and so it's relatively normal pressure in this area, and so we've seen that middle Bakken wells in this area are relatively poor performers relative to similarly drilled Three Forks wells. That's likely due to just completion, better drainage from wells being drilled in the Three Forks. These completions are probably moving upward due to low pressure and you're getting better reservoir stimulation. When you put the well in the Three Forks, you're likely fracking into the middle Bakken as well. And so that is why we've kind of moved to only Three Forks in this area.
Okay. With your proposed development plan, looking at Exhibit 5, have you put any thought into what you might do to continue development in the northeast of Section 2 and or the southwest of Section 8?
So the southwest of Section 8, I believe we are proposing a well going down to the south that direction in one of our upcoming hearings. We have not proposed anything to the east. I think we are trying to just, at this stage, develop this already existing acreage as best we can, and then likely we would propose a lease line well on the east side, assuming everything goes well and these wells are economic. Again, being outside of that overpressure area at the core of the basin, sometimes these wells are a little bit challenged economically, so we just need to prove the concept and then move to that next phase. So we would likely, assuming again we have, I don't know our land position and such of a lease line well on the east side of 211 and down on that Exhibit 5 that you mentioned, but we would likely be interested in that, assuming it would work economically.
Is there a reason you're choosing to continue the diagonal pattern instead of overlay this with stand-ups, like it looked like it was proposed with the 1280s that are planned to be terminated?
Yeah, again, because of the lower pressure, we see a lot of well-to-well interference. So we were, wanting to keep kind of the spacing as is, the interwell spacing as is. I think there would be a high amount of communication risk if we were to drill these north-south over existing wells. That would likely cause an increased amount of interference and probably substandard wells. I think that's the thinking at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Dutch, along those lines, I mean, there's been wells drilled across, diagonal wells just to the north of you. Have you looked at those wells?
Yes, and again, most of the economics of those wells are poor, quite poor. And just looking at those maps, there's a map in Exhibit 5, kind of those 28, 38. That's probably an over-drilled section there. So we're trying to keep the spacing, pretty conservative because we do see quite a bit of interference and sub-economic wells in this area.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Stengel,
Yes.
do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
I do.
Jason, can I have you state your name, by whom you're employed, and in what capacity, and give us your business address?
I'm Jason Stengel. I work for Petra Hunt LLC as a reservoir engineer. My business address is 2101 Cedar Springs Road, Suite 600, Dallas, Texas 75201.
And Jason, have you previously testified before the commission?
Yes.
Have you had your qualifications received as that of an expert?
Yes.
And are you familiar with the engineering matters associated with the proposed spacing units?
Yes.
Yeah, I'd move the testimony of Mr. Stengel be received as that of an expert.
Motion granted.
And Jason, let's start with exhibit number 8, if you can take us through the reservoir data.
Yes, this is the reservoir data for the spacing we're requesting. The lithology in this area is a dolomite. Bottom hole temperature is around 231 degrees Fahrenheit. Oil gravity is 40.2 degrees API. Gas gravity 0.91. Expected initial GOR of 800 cubic feet per barrel. Spacing units requested are 1920 acres and 2,560 acre units. Like Dutch said, the average Middle Bakken thickness in this area is 57 feet, and the Three Forks is 16 feet. Off the logs, we measured the porosity as being 9.5%. Calculated average water saturation of 49%. Using standing correlation, estimate the formation volume factor at 1.54 reservoir barrels to stock tank barrels. All that put together, 1,920 acre unit. We're looking at 34 million barrels original oil in place, and a 2560 unit, north of 45 million barrels of original oil in place. And this is all for these recoveries are all for like an average well, the 4 wells. I'm estimating 400,000 barrels recovery per well, with a recovery factor of 1.17% for a 1920 and 0.88% for a 2560.
Then let's move on to exhibit number 9, if you can take us through the economics.
Again, this is a single well economics for the average well here. We have an IP of 300 barrels a day. Again, a GOR of 800 cubic feet per barrel. An estimated ultimate recovery of 400,000 barrels. The projected well cost in this area is $8,961,705 with estimated lease operating expenses of $11,500 a month. The royalty burden averages about 18% here. And then the oil and gas price that I used is $70 for the oil and $3 for the gas, and that's the NYMEX price. With that, payout time is 3.5 years. The return on investment is 1.81 to 1, with the rate of return of 18.23%.
Jason, in your opinion, if the commission were to approve this series of 1920s and 2560s with that development that's been described, is that going to prevent waste, protect correlative rights, and prevent the drilling of unnecessary wells?
Yes.
Okay. I have no further questions. I'd offer Exhibits 8, 9, and Exhibit 10, which is a gas capture plan affidavit.
The exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff?
Jason, when you were discussing your Exhibit 9, you said it was the average well. Can you tell me what the lateral length is for the wells in the 1920s versus the 2560s?
I don't have an exact number, but the 1920s are going to be close to a regular 2-mile well, and the 2560 acre wells are going to be like 2.4 or 8. 2.8 miles.
Okay.
They're not totally standard. I don't know the exact lengths, but it's kind of the average well is about 20% longer
And so,
than a 2-mile well. Excuse me.
so your economics on Exhibit 9, is that for the 2 mile or for the 2.8, or is it for the 2.4-ish mile well?
The 2.4-ish mile well. It's a blend.
Gotcha. I asked Dutch about possible plans for that northeast of 2 or the southwest of 8. Would you anticipate anything on the order of a 1-mile lateral being economic in those areas?
At this time, no. But the southwest of 8, we've got that 1920 spacing hearing coming up, so we're going to address that. The northeast of 2, can't recommend a 1 mile at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Examiner, Mr. Suggs, the next case on the docket will cover a 1920, which would include Section 8. So, but yeah, 2 is not. So.
Okay, that concludes our hearing for case number 30478. We will now jump ahead to the supplement and call case number 30532. Application of Petron LLC for an order amending the applicable orders for the Ambrose Bakken Pool to establish an overlapping stand-up 1920 acre spacing unit described as Sections 8, 17, and 20, Township 162 North, Range 99 West, Divide County, North Dakota, and authorize 1 horizontal well to be drilled on such unit. All interested parties, please come forward.
Thank you, Mr. Examiner. Wade Mann, P.O. Box 2798, Bismarck, North Dakota, appearing in this case on behalf of Petrohunt LLC. And, Mr. Examiner, I have the same 3 witnesses testifying in this case.
And just a reminder, the witnesses are still under oath.
Okay. And, Mike, let's start with your exhibit number 1 in this case, if you can identify the proposed spacing unit and your working interest.
Yes, Exhibit 1 depicts the 1920 of Section 8, 17, and 20 with Petrohunt with a majority working interest of 62%.
And, Mike, how about in this case, did you communicate with Formentera or any other working interest owners with respect to this proposed spacing unit as well?
Yes.
And they didn't have any objections?
No.
Okay. I have no further questions for Mr. Dewald that offer Exhibit 1.
Exhibit will be admitted. Any questions from the staff? You can call your next witness.
All right, Dutch, let's start with your exhibit number 2, if you can take us through that structure map and then also your proposed plan of development on this 1920.
Yes, so the structure map is the same as we saw in the last case there. Top of the Bakken, top of the Upper Bakken Shale, with 25-foot contour intervals showing the shallow or the slight dip to the south, slight formation dip to the south there. Again, we got the existing wells, existing Three Forks wells in pink, and then you can see a few existing Middle Bakken wells up to the north in that brownish color. This spacing unit is outlined, the proposed spacing unit again is outlined in red, and we're just to the south west of our last hearing there. Same type log, I'll point out, in the proposed well that we're proposing in this unit is the dashed black line, the 3 Mile well, and again, it will likely be drilled as a upper bench Three Forks well.
Okay. No further questions for Mr. Cruz. In this case, I'd offer exhibits 2 and 3.
Exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff?
Dutch, that proposed well path that you're proposing, that you're showing on Exhibit 2, how far off the west line are you proposing to drill that well?
I believe 550 feet or so, as close to the setback on the west side as possible, without being legal, or while being legal there. We are trying to keep the interwell spacing between those 2 Mile wells to the south as consistent as possible, but I believe it's 550 feet, but I may need to get back to you on the exact footage if I don't have that offhand.
The northern end of that lateral, where you're crossing or encroaching on that well bore in Section 8, do you actually anticipate crossing that lateral, or will you avoid that?
We will definitely try to avoid that lateral. Usually when we have Three Forks wells like this, we will land the second one deeper, at or below that first bench marker, which in my Exhibit 3 is a little hot gamma, kind of where the blue line is passing through. We'll land it low just so we can get a good picture of the whole upper Three Forks interval, and then once we get past that lateral, then we'll come back up into the ideal target zone. So that's likely what we will do on that one.
Anything special at the completion, where those well bores are closer to each other?
Likely they will take it easy near the existing well bore. I don't know. I know that well, that existing well, I don't have it offhand. I can look that well was drilled in 2010, so relatively older well. I assume that has a relatively small completion, so we may still try to do something, but I would assume we would try to take it easy around that existing well, because again, like we talked about in the last case, there is, because of the low pressure, there is more interwell interference that we've seen in this area between wells, so we want to try to reduce that as much as possible.
But you would still intend to stimulate that interval rather than just blank a stage?
Yes, likely.
Just one note, I guess, with respect to dipping below that target interval. The pool definition in Ambrose is to 100 feet below the top of the Three Forks. You probably have plenty of room to dive below your target there, but just a note that there is a limit on that Bakken pool.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Hopefully we won't go that deep. That would be not good, probably. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dutch, do you plan on drilling this well from the existing pad up in the northwest of 8?
Yes, we do, from that existing Morrison well.
And the north-south development in this case versus the other case, that's, can you expand on the reason for drilling north-south rather than diagonal in this area?
Yes, because of the section 17, 18, 19, 20 are north-south, and then we kind of have an unstimulated southwestern portion of that section 8. We just felt that it was most efficient to go from north to south. Again, probably some suboptimal communication right there near the existing well. But again, hopefully we can, hold back on completion in that area. And then once we get, a couple hundred feet to the south of that existing well, it should be more optimal than going, if we were playing with diagonal wells in this area, just get some odd interference patterns and things. So we felt that this north-south development right here on the edge of those diagonal wells would be most optimal for us.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
You can call your next witness.
All right. Jason, let's go on to exhibit number 4, and if you can take us through the reservoir data. I'm assuming it's similar to the previous case?
Yes, it's similar, so I'll just hit the highlights very quickly. Again, lithology dolomite, bottom hole pressure, 231 degrees, oil gravity 40.2, gas gravity 0.91, GOR 800, spacing unit 1920, middle Bakken 57 feet, Three Forks 16 feet thick, porosity 9.5%, water saturation 49%, formation volume factor 1.54. Again, the estimated oil in place is 34 million barrels for the 1920. The difference here, since you're getting a full 3 miles, the EUR is estimated at 450,000 barrels per well, with a recovery of 1.32%.
And then moving on to exhibit number 5, can you describe what the economics would look like?
Okay, the IP for this well will be, again, 300 barrels a day, again, with a similar GOR of 800. The EUR is 450,000 barrels. Projected well cost for the 3 mile well is $10,560,180. Lease operating expenses will be similar at $11,500 a month. The royalty burden in this area is 19%, and the NYMEX pricing that I used was $70 for oil and $3 for gas. With that said, the payout time is 4.4 years. Return on investment is 1.72 to 1, with a 14% rate of return.
Jason, in your opinion, would establishment of the spacing unit prevent waste, protect correlative rights, and prevent the drilling of unnecessary wells?
Yes.
Okay. I'd offer exhibits 4, 5, and exhibit 6, which is the gas capture plan affidavit.
Exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff? That concludes our hearing for case number 30532. Case number 30533, application of Petra Hunt LLC for an order amending the applicable orders for the West Ambrose and/or Ambrose Bakken Pool to establish an overlapping 2560 acre spacing unit described as sections 25 and 36, Township 162 North, Range 100 West, and sections 30 and 31, Township 162 North, Range 99 West, Divide County, North Dakota, and authorize one horizontal well to be drilled on such unit. All interested parties, please come forward.
Thank you, Mr. Examiner. Wade Mann, P.O. Box 2798, Bismarck, North Dakota, appearing in this case on behalf of Petra Hunt LLC, and the same 3 witnesses are testifying in this case.
And just a reminder, they're still under oath.
Okay. And Mike, let's start with exhibit number 1, if you can identify the spacing unit and your working interest.
Yes, Exhibit 1 depicts sections 25 25, 36, 30, and 31 with Petro Hunt at a majority working interest of 82%.
And Petro Hunt's the operator of the existing wells in 30 and 31 and 25 and 36?
That is correct.
Okay. I have no further questions. I'd offer Exhibit 1.
The exhibit is admitted. Any questions from the staff? You can call your next witness.
All right, Dutch, let's start with Exhibit 2, if you can take us through the structure map and your proposed development plan for this one.
Yep, so the proposed spacing again is in red, and then we have the existing wells, existing Three Forks wells, they're in the pink color, no Middle Bakken existing wells in this area. The grade contour intervals, again, are top of the Upper Bakken Shale, contour interval of 25 feet, showing a gentle dip to the south, formation dip to the south. Our proposed well is there in the black dashed line. It will, again, likely be drilled as an Upper Bench Three Forks well. And I do want to point out the type log that I'll be showing on the next figure down there to the southwest in section 1, to just show you the proximity to the proposed spacing unit.
Yep. So let's go on to Exhibit number 3, and if you can take us through, we got a different type log this time, if you can walk us through that exhibit.
Yes, so this is the type log for the Louisiana Land Exploration Code 7 State 14-11 well that was a Jupiter dry hole drilled in 1985. Again, we have the Humphrey neutron density log on the left and the resistivity log on the right, showing the lower part of the lodge pole, the Upper Bakken Shale, the Middle Bakken, the Lower Bakken Shale, and the upper portion of the Three Forks formation. Similar to our last one, but a little bit different thicknesses. We have a 10-foot Upper Bakken Shale, a 67-foot thick Middle Bakken interval, a Lower Bakken Shale interval of 25 feet thickness, and then an upper portion of the Three Forks from the green line at the top of the Three Forks down to the blue dash line, which is my first bench marker. The upper portion of the Three Forks is about 20 feet thick in this area. And just pretty much normal wireline log signatures of the Bakken Petroleum. So, thank you.
I have no further questions. I'd offer Exhibits 2 and 3.
The exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff? You can call your next witness.
All right. Jason, let's move on to Exhibit number 4, and if you can take us through the reservoir data for this one.
Yes. Okay. The lithology for this area is a dolomite. The bottom hole temperature is 238 degrees Fahrenheit. Oil gravity of 42 degrees API. Gas gravity of 0.91. GOR of 800 SCF stock tank barrels. Spacing units 2,560 acres. Like Dutch said, average thickness for the Middle Bakken is 67 feet, and the Three Forks is 20 feet. Porosity in this area is around 9%. Again, calculated water saturation 49%. Formation volume factor here is 1.55 reservoir barrels, stock tank barrels. Estimated oil in place, original oil in place is 50,507,218 barrels for the estimated recovery of 300,000 barrels. Recovery factor is 0.59%.
And let's move on to Exhibit number 5 and the economics for the proposed well.
Again, the IP for these wells is 300 barrels a day oil. The GOR is 800. The EUR for this area is 300,000 barrels. Projected well cost is $8,007,060. The LOE is $11,500 a month. The royalty burden for here is 18%. And the NYMEX oil and gas prices are $70 and $3 respectively. The payout time is 4 years with a 1.48 to 1 return on investment and a rate of return just under 14%, 13.92.
And Jason, would establishment of this overlapping 2560 to allow for that lease line well, would that prevent waste and protect relative rights?
Yes.
Okay, I have no further questions. That offer exhibits 4, 5, and exhibit 6, which is the gas capture affidavit.
The exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff? That concludes our hearing for case number 30533. At this time, we will take a 10-minute break until 10:05 a.m. We are off the record. Okay, we are back on the record. It is 10:05 a.m. We will call case number 30479, application of Hesbach Investments 2 LLC for an order amending the applicable orders for the Alger and/or Robinson Lake Bakken Pool to 1, terminate an overlapping 2560-acre spacing unit described as sections 21, 22, 27, and 28, Township 155 North, Range 93 West. 2, establish 2 overlapping lay-down 1280-acre spacing units described as sections 21 and 22, and sections 27 and 28, Township 155 North, Range 93 West, Montreal County, North Dakota, and authorize 1 horizontal well to be drilled on each such unit, or 3, granting such other relief as may be appropriate. All interested parties, please come forward.
Thank you, Mr. Examiner. Wade Mann, P.O. Box 2798, Bismarck, North Dakota, appearing in this case on behalf of Hesbach Investments 2 LLC. I have 3 witnesses appearing telephonically. They should be on the line now, and it will be Levi Greenlee, Othman El Halou, and Aisha Keshimir.
Mr. Greenlee,
Yes,
do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
I do.
Levi, can I have you state your name, by whom you're employed, and in what capacity, and give us your business address?
Yes, I'm Levi Greenlee. I'm employed by Hess Corporation as a senior land negotiator with a business address of 1501 McKinney Street, Houston, Texas 77010.
And Levi, have you previously testified before the commission?
I have.
Have you had your qualifications received as that of an expert?
I have.
And are you familiar with the land matters associated with the proposed spacing units?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I'd move the testimony of Mr. Greenlee be received as that of an expert.
Motion granted.
And Levi, let's start with your exhibit number 1, if you can identify the proposed spacing units.
Yes, Exhibit 1's a location map of Township 155 North, Range 93 West in Monroe County. In blue is the existing 2560 lease line spacing, which we're going to terminate, and in green are the 2 requested 1280 lease line spacing.
Okay, let's move on to exhibit number 2 then, the working interest in the first proposed 1280.
In Exhibit 2 is the land plat for the 1280 spacing. In yellow is the Hess-operated Ian Swanchera 155-93-1522 DSU, with Hess owning 70.4% working interest, Grayson Mill with 29.48 working interest. And in blue is the Hess-operated Ian Doberboney 155-93-2128 DSU, with Hess owning 50.31%. Grayson Mill with 37.19, Petro Hunt with 12.5. And the combined working interest in the proposed 1280 spacing is Hess with 60.36, Grayson Mill with 33.33, Petro Hunt with 6.25, and others with less than 1%.
Okay, and then let's move on to exhibit number 3, the working interest in that other 1280.
Exhibit 3 shows the other 1280 spacing with yellow is Hess's operated Ian L. Swanchera 155-93-26-27 DSU, with Hess with 47.68%, Grayson Mill with 33.42, Northern Oil with 17.8, and in blue is the Hess operated Ian Doberboney DSU, with Hess with 50.31, Grayson Mill with 37.19, Petro Hunt with 12.5, and the combined working interest in that proposed 1280 is Hess with 49%, Grayson Mill with 35.3, Northern with 8.9, Petro Hunt with 6.25, and others with less than percent.
Okay. And Levi, Aisha with her exhibits will kind of explain why you're terminating the larger 2560 and breaking it down into the 2 1280s. Is that correct?
Yes, yeah, she'll talk about pad location and development.
Sure. I have no further questions, and I'd offer exhibits 1 through 3.
Exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff? Mr. Halou,
Yes, sir.
do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
I swear.
Othman, can I have you state your name, by whom you are employed, and in what capacity, and give us your business address?
Sure. My name is Othman El Halud. I am employed by Hess Corporation as an operations geologist with the business address of 1501 McKinney Street, Houston, Texas 77010.
And Othman, have you previously testified before the commission?
I have.
Have you had your qualifications received as that of an expert?
Yes, sir.
And are you familiar with the geology underlying the proposed spacing units?
I am.
Okay, I'd move the testimony of Mr. El Halou be received as that of an expert.
Motion granted.
And Othman, let's start with exhibit number 4, if you can take us through your structure map.
Sure. Exhibit 4 shows the location of the existing DSU in blue and the requested 1280 DSU outlines in green with existing wells marked. Top middle bottom structure map is presented with a 50-foot contour interval showing that the formation is dipping to the southwest. The line A to A prime represents the location of the wells used in the cross section in exhibit 4.
Okay, then let's move on to the next exhibit 5, the cross section, if you can take us through that exhibit.
Yes, sorry. Exhibit 5 is a stratigraphic cross-section that's flattened on the top of the Bakken, showing that the targeted formations are present and continuous throughout the region.
Okay, I have no further questions. I'd offer exhibits 4 and 5.
Exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff? Ms. Keshemir,
Yes, sir.
do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes, I do.
Aisha, can I have you state your name, by whom you're employed, and in what capacity, and give us your business address?
Sure. My name is Aisha Kashmir, reservoir engineer employed by Hess Corporation, located at 1501 McKinney Street, Houston, Texas 77010.
And Aisha, have you previously testified before the commission?
Yes, I have.
Have you had your qualifications received as that of an expert?
Yes.
And are you familiar with the engineering matters associated with the proposed spacing units?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I'd move the testimony of Ms. Keshemir be received as that of an expert.
Motion granted.
All right, and Aisha, if you can take us through exhibit number 6 and walk us through your proposed development plan, explain kind of why we're terminating the 2560 and going with the 1280s for the shorter laterals.
Sure. Exhibit 6 shows the proposed 1280 development plan for the section 21, 22, and section 27, 28. The bold dashed lines are the proposed wells, 2 wells, and they will be drilled in the middle Bakken formation. And the reason why we're doing 2 640s is we already have a pad location for a future wells, as you can see in 3 well batch. So we're adding these 2 wells to that batch and drilling 2 5,000 feet wells from both areas.
Sure. Then let's move on to the next exhibit number 7, and if you can walk us through the reservoir data and then the economics for those wells.
Sure. Exhibit 7 shows the reservoir and economic summary for a single middle Bakken well in East Nason area. The expected EUR is around 425,000 barrels oil with 2% recovery factor. Economics were ran at $62 per barrel WTI flat and 100% working interest. The expected NPV is around $3.4 million with 40% rate of return.
Okay. And Aisha, in your opinion, would the establishment of these 2 spacing units for these lease line wells, is that going to prevent waste and protect relative rights?
Yes.
Okay. I have no further questions. I'd offer exhibit 6 and 7 in the gas capture affidavit.
Exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff?
Aisha, looking at this, is there a reason why you just wouldn't use the pad located up in the southeast corner of section 16 just to drill a 2-mile lateral along the lease line?
That would be pad. Yeah, having a pad for one well, it won't be economic and drill one well. So that's why we're doing adding these 2 wells to not existing, but it's going to be future batch. So for optimization, for economic optimization.
Well, but the pad in 16 is already established. It wouldn't be a single well pad. There's already a pad up there. There's actually 2 of them.
The south.
It's the end state BH1 is a single well pad, and then there's 4 end state B wells. And the same would be over in sections 15 and 22. There's already an existing pad drilling 3 of those laterals from in 15 and 22 from north to south. And so why wouldn't you drill those other 2
Yeah,
wells from the same pad?
There's a pad for 15 and 22. We're draining a well in section 22 and 21. So we won't be like a small lateral at that time, but we have, yeah, I see what we would like to activate production for this one because this batch is pad for November 2024 compared to the other pads we had in the northern one.
You were breaking up a little bit. Can you state that again?
What I'm saying is like this batch is going to be drilled next year, so we're accelerating production by drilling this, adding these 2 640 wells.
But wouldn't it be more economical to add to an existing pad than create a new pad?
We don't have right now any batch schedule for this batch sooner in the next 2 years. That's why we wanted to add it to this patch that is scheduled for next year.
Okay, thanks.
Wade, I think, I guess I'm gonna say I'm still not understanding to what Jared asked, and as he's indicated, there is a pad built in 16 along that side or that corridor that Hess could simply drill south, and without building a new pad, it's already established. I'm not really sure what Aisha's stating, the fact that their future plans, that doesn't answer the question as to why wouldn't she use the pad that's already established instead of trying to create a 640 spacing unit.
Can you address that again? Like why you're looking to kind of drill these 2 lease line laterals from the pad that you're, what's going to be was already going to be a 3-well pad. You're adding these 2 to that for economic efficiencies. But can you explain again why this makes more sense than drilling from section 16 and then coming down to the south?
Well, and Wade, before she starts on that, to add to that, 2 of the wells that are being drilled in 15 and 22, there's already a pad that those 2 wells could be used. So it kind of seems like there's existing pads for most of these proposed wells shown on Exhibit 6.
Do you want to address that? Sure.
We're looking at the, give us a second, we're just looking at the development plans of the area. there's a broader development plan here, so we're just trying to make sure we're fully look at the development plan so we can answer those questions clearly. Give us a second.
Yep, that's fine.
I think, Wade, even with them looking at that, I mean, I think it's still gonna change the economics as well, a possibility of drilling, or at least having Hess look at coming from that pad, so it might be something that Hess needs to actually spend some time reviewing this. Because it kinda sounds like this wasn't looked at coming from that possible pad.
If we could hold the record open and just maybe supply a supplemental exhibit, kind of development plan exhibit that would address.
Excuse me.
Hey,
Go ahead,
we
Aisha.
found
Oh.
that
This pad is fully developed. The map is not showing the, because they were drilled, this is the EN State B. We drilled this year. It's not, for some reason, it's not showing in the map. Like for section 9 and 16.
So are you saying that
And-
the east half of 9 and 16 is already fully developed? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, it's fully developed. It's just the new wells we did drilled this year, we drilled this year from the northern pad, and the existing pad we have like and the other section as well, the 15 and 22. We do have the only 2 wells that are already planned in next year to be drilled, and the pad location we already identified. So it's a 3-well batch. Like you can see in the exhibit 6, where I put the dotted line that shows the 3 wells, the EN Schwanshera, and you have a lease line, the ENL Schwanshera. That's why we added these 2 wells, like to optimize and prevent waste and not to drill one well and using a rig move for 1 well to an existing pad.
Okay.
Does this answer your question?
So
Does that answer-
I guess overall, so if you look down further in 26 and 27, that single lease line well in the top of there, is it too far of a step out to use the current pad in 26 to get to that one remaining well?
Yeah, it's the lease line in the south. It's going to be drilled from section 20, 29 actually, and it's going to be a big step out around like 5,000, more than 5,000 feet. And the other one is that the lease line in the south is a 3-mile lateral. So we're drilling in another batch with a 5-well batch where we have 2 3-mile laterals and another 3 wells. So it is in section 29. So it's going to be a step up of it's going to be a huge step up, sure.
Aisha, this is Lynn, and maybe I can help clarify this. Looking at your Exhibit 6, it would appear to me that there are 3 future drilling wells that are they're dashed on there. So this is actually going to be a
Yes.
5-well pad,
Correct.
and so you want to batch drill the 5 wells, because those other 3 wells that are dashed there are future wells that'll be drilled with these.
Correct, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Those 3 wells, they are already in the plan, so we're adding this other 2 to make it a 5-well batch.
Aisha, this is Mark Bohr. I guess to summarize what you're telling us that it's better to drill these 5 wells from the proposed pad rather than drill a 1 well from a pad up in section 16?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
So do we need to keep the record open anymore, or?
I think it would be helpful to have a supplement explaining that you're gonna do a 5-well batch with a single rig move versus 3 rig moves to do it from those existing pads, so that the commission has it in the record.
Yep.
Why a new pad here makes sense.
How long do you need?
I'd just like to add,
Go ahead, Levi.
I'd like to add, there's no way for us to drill from that section 15 pad because we have a lease line well that's already producing on that lease line for section 16, between 16 and 15. And
I think we could address that as part of the exhibit. Aisha, Levi, how long, like a couple weeks for that?
yes, please.
Is
2
it-
weeks.
2 weeks is sufficient?
So we'll
Yeah.
keep the record open till November 29th then. Is that fair?
Yep.
Okay, that concludes our hearing for case number 30479. Case number 30480, application of Hesbachen Investments 2 LLC for an order amending the applicable orders for the Beaver Lodge Bakken Pool to establish an overlapping 2560-acre spacing unit described as sections 22, 23, 26, and 27, Township 156 North, Range 95 West, Williams County, North Dakota, and authorize 1 horizontal well to be drilled on such unit. This case has been continued to December hearings. That concludes our hearing for case number 30480. Case number 30481, application of Hesbachen Investments 2 LLC for an order amending the applicable orders of the Beaver Lodge Bakken Pool to establish an overlapping 2560-acre spacing unit described as sections 18 and 19, Township 156 North, Range 95 West, and sections 13 and 24, Township 156 North, Range 96 West, Williams County, North Dakota, and authorize 1 horizontal well to be drilled on such unit. All interested parties, please come forward.
Thank you, Mr. Examiner. Wade Mann, P.O. Box 2798, Bismarck, North Dakota, appearing in this case on behalf of Hesbachen Investments 2 LLC, and I have same 3 witnesses testifying in this case.
Just a reminder, your witnesses are still under oath.
Okay. And Levi, let's start with your exhibit number 1, if you can identify the spacing unit for us.
Yep, the exhibit 1 is a location map of Township 156 North, Range 95 West, and Township 156 North, Range 96 West, and Williams County. In blue are the existing DSUs, first stand-up 1280 of sections 13 and 24, and second stand-up 1280 of sections 18 and 19, and in green is the requested 2560 spacing.
Okay. Then move on to exhibit number 2. Take us through your working interest in the spacing unit.
Exhibit 2 is the land plat. The proposed 2560 in yellow is the Hess-operated BL Farm DSU with Hess owning 96% working interest. And then in blue is the Murex-operated Angie Marie DSU, where Hess owns 24.7, Murex with 10.5, Spec Tech with 35, and others with 29% working interest. In the combined working interest in the proposed 2560, Hess would own 59.39%, Spec Tech with 18, Murex with 5, and others with 17.2. Hess has spoken with Murex, and there was no objection to the proposed lease line spacing.
Okay. I have no further questions that offer exhibits 1 and 2.
The exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff? You can call your next witness.
All right, Othman, let's move on to Exhibit 3 then, if you can take us through that structure map.
Sure. Exhibit 3 shows the location of the existing DSUs in blue and the requested 2560 DSU outline in green with existing walls marked. The top middle box and structure map is presented with a 50-foot contour interval with the formation between the northwest and southeast off the anticline. The line A to H line represents the location of the wells used in the cross-section in Exhibit 4.
Okay, and let's move on to Exhibit 4 in the cross-section.
Exhibit 4 is a stratigraphic cross-section that's flattened on the top of the boxing, showing that targeted formations are present and continuous throughout the region.
Okay, I have no further questions. I'd offer Exhibits 3 and 4.
Exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff? You can call your next witness.
All right, Aisha, let's move on to Exhibit number 5, and you can take us through your proposed development plan on the spacing unit.
Sure. Exhibit 5 shows the proposed 25 plan for Section 18, 19, and Section 15, 24. The bold dashed line is the proposed well and will be drilled in the middle Bakken formation.
Okay, and then moving on to Exhibit 6, if you can take us through the reservoir data and economics.
So Exhibit 6 shows the reservoir and economic summary for a single middle Bakken well in Beaver Lodge area. The expected EY is around 630,000 standard barrels with 2% recovery factor. Economics will run at $62 per barrel WTI flat and 100% working accurate. The expected NPV is around $9 million with 69% rate of return.
Okay. And Aisha, in your opinion, would establishment of the 2560 to allow for the lease line well prevent waste and protect relative rights?
Yes.
I have no further questions. I'd offer Exhibits 5, 6, and the gas capture affidavit.
Exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff? That concludes our hearing for case number 30481. Case number 30482, application of Oasis Petroleum North America LLC for an order amending the applicable orders for the Cottonwood, Bakken Pool, Montreal and Burke Counties, North Dakota, to establish two overlapping stand-up 1920 acre spacing units described as sections 28 and 33, Township 159 North, Range 92 West, and Section 4, Township 158 North, Range 92 West, and Sections 9, 16, and 21, Township 158 North, Range 92 West, and authorize 4 horizontal wells to be drilled on each such unit. All interested parties, please come forward.
Thank you, Mr. Examiner. Wade Mann, P.O. Box 2798, Bismarck, North Dakota, appearing in this case on behalf of Oasis Petroleum North America, LLC. I will have 3 witnesses testifying telephonically in this case. I'll call them now. It will be Nicole Meredith, John Prim, and Eva Tomova. Hey, Nicole, you got everybody there? All right, we're live in the hearing room.
Ms. Meredith,
Yes.
do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes, I do.
Nicole, can I have you state your name, by whom you're employed, and in what capacity, and give us your business address?
Yes, Nicole Meredith. I am a landman at Cord Energy, Oasis Petroleum as well, subsidiary. Address is 1001 Fannin, Suite 1500, Houston, Texas, 77002.
And Nicole, have you testified before the commission?
Yes, I have.
Have you had your qualifications received as that of an expert?
Yes,
And are you familiar with the land matters associated with these proposed spacing units?
I am.
I'd move the testimony of Ms. Meredith be received as that of an expert.
Motion granted.
And Nicole, let's start with the first page of Exhibit L1, if you can take us through that locator map.
So this is the locator map that depicts the spacing units that we were requesting for spacing today, residing in Township 15992, Sections 28 and 33, as well as 15892, Section 4, for the first 1920 acre spacing unit, and Sections 9, 16, and 21 of Township 158, Range 92 West.
And then moving on to the next page, just take us through what the current spacing versus the proposed.
Sure, yes, the current spacing is comprised of three 1280 stand-up 15992, sections 28 and 33, along with 15892, sections 4 and 9, and 16 and 21. As you can see, the requested spacing, as mentioned on the previous slide, is 28 and 33 of Township 15892, as well as Section 4 of 15892 West, and Sections 9, 16, and 21 of 15892.
Okay. And then let's move on to what your working interest is in each of those proposed 1920s.
Yes, so in the initial northern 1920 acre spacing unit, the estimated working interest for Oasis is 30.10%. And in the southern 1920 acre spacing unit comprised of sections 9, 16, and 21, our estimated working interest is 54.17%.
Okay. And then let's move on to the next exhibit in the breakdown of the underlying base spacing unit working interest.
So for the northern 1280 and sections 28 and 33, Oasis currently does not own a working interest. In the middle, sections 4 and 9, 1280 acre spacing unit, Oasis owns at 80.9% working interest. And in the southern 1280 at 16 and 21, Oasis owns about a 40.8% working interest.
And Nicole, have you communicated with any of the other owners of any significant working interest in these proposed 1920s with respect to your spacing plans?
Yes, we sure have. So Liberty owns a large working interest in sections 28 and 33, and we've coordinated with them quite a bit throughout our respacing efforts in this area. If you'll notice, I should have placed a map in here, but there is to the east and to the west of this requested 1920 acre spacing unit. We're on pattern with the currently requested spacing or space units as well. So 29, 32, and 5. 8, 17, and 20, as well as 27, 34, and 3, and 10, 15, and 22. So this kind of lines up, it completes that puzzle there as far as the 1920 respacing and kind of captures some of that acreage that likely might not have been developed accordingly.
Sure. I have no further questions for Ms. Meredith or offer the land exhibits.
The exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff?
Hey, Wade, just for the record, do you want to relabel these for L1 through 4? My packet's all L1.
Yeah, they're all L1. I mean, we can do that if you want, or if just like a multi-page L1, I guess. You want us to?
You just want to do A through D or something?
Yeah, we can relabel them and submit. So.
How long do you need for that, Wade?
A week should be fine, Nicole.
Yeah, so I can get that taken care of.
Yep.
Okay, so we'll keep the record open until November 22nd. I didn't catch the name of your sister
It's
witness.
John Prim.
Okay. Mr. Prim,
Yes,
do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
I do.
John, can I have you state your name, by whom you're employed, and in what capacity, and give us your business address?
Yes, my name is John Prim. I'm a geologist employed by Oasis Petroleum, business address 1001 Fannin Street, Suite 1500, Houston, Texas 77002.
And John, have you previously testified before the commission?
Yes,
Have you had your qualifications received as that of an expert?
yes,
And are you familiar with the geology underlying the proposed spacing units?
yes.
Okay, I'd move the testimony of Mr. Prim be received as that of an expert.
Motion granted.
And John, let's start with Exhibit G1, your structure map.
Yeah, so G1 shows the Upper Bakken structure map centered over the area of interest with our two proposed DSUs outlined in blue and yellow dashed lines. Also shown here is an existing Middle Bakken well within these two DSUs, as well as the location of the Rystat 411H, which will be shown on Exhibit G3 as a type log. The grid in the background, or the contours in the background, show the Upper Bakken structure dipping to the southwest.
Okay, and let's move on to the ISOPAC G2.
Sure, and then G2, like you said, shows a Middle Bakken gross interval ISOPAC map centered over the same area with the same DSUs highlighted, as well as the wells that I previously outlined. And as you can see, the Middle Bakken is present over the two DSUs, roughly at a thickness of 40 feet thick.
And let's move on to the type log, G3.
So, yep, so G3 shows the type log of that Rystat 411H, as I previously highlighted, centered over the reservoir depth of interest, with the Middle Bakken highlighted there in yellow.
Okay, I have no further questions that offer the geology exhibits.
The exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff?
John, looking at your, I guess, G1 and G2, there's another Middle Bakken well in section 21, correct? That short horizontal well's a Middle Bakken target?
Yeah, yes, that's correct. Sorry, there's feedback. I forgot to turn that on in the map, but yes, it's shown with the wellhead location in the southeast corner, and the deviation path is directed towards the northwest.
And those are the only two existing wells in the acreage being spaced for 1920, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And your intended target for the horizontal wells on the
Should be the
1920s?
Middle Bakken.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Ms. Demova,
Yes, sir?
do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes, I do.
Eva, can I have you state your name, by whom you're employed, and in what capacity, and give us your business address?
Sir, my name is Eva Camila Medina, and I'm currently a development engineer at Ford Energy, subsidiary of Oasis Petroleum. Our address is 1001 Fanning Street, unit 1500, Houston, Texas 77010. And then, yeah, that's about it.
Yep. And Eva, have you previously testified before the commission?
Yes, I have.
Have you had your qualifications received as that of an expert?
Yes, I have.
And you're familiar with the engineering matters associated with proposed spacing?
Yes, I am.
All right, I'd move the testimony of Ms. Tomova Medina be received as that of an expert.
Motion granted.
And Eva, let's start with Exhibit E1, if you can take us through your proposed plan of development on that northernmost 1920.
Yes, sir. So proposing a 1920 the section have been outlined previously, but 28 and 33 of 159.92 and section 4 of 158.92 for Middle Bakken well. We'll try to stay away from that existing parent as much as we can while capturing some of the reserves in the sections that don't have any development.
Okay, let's move on to E2 then, the southern 1920.
Yep, same thing here. I do need to maybe change that middle well to show a little bit. It's going to try to stay away from the hardy as well, similarly to the northern one. So we can do that since we're going to have to resubmit these anyway. And the pad, currently planned to share a pad with the northern unit. Pretty straightforward.
Okay. And then let's move on to E3. If you could take us through the reservoir data and then the economics for the proposed wells.
Yes, sir. So, going through the reservoir properties, as I mentioned, these are going to be middle Bakken targets. Reservoir pressure expectations just over 5,500 psi. 21 foot mid pay with just under 6% velocity. OYP and recovery. We're expecting oil EORs to be in the 530 MBO range. For per well economics, those were right at $65 per barrel of oil and $3 per MCF. Looking at total investment of just over 9.8 million and discounted PR10 at 1.25.
Okay. And Eva, in your opinion, would establishing these two 1920s to allow for the longer laterals, is that going to prevent waste, protect relative rights, and prevent the drilling of unnecessary wells?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, I have no further questions that offer the engineering exhibits and the gas capture affidavit.
The exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff?
Eva, when you were discussing E1 and E2, you indicated you were going to stand off of that existing Middle Bakken well in the middle on 4 and 9. What are your plans when you drill across that Middle Bakken well down in 21?
As usual, we'll steer around it during the drilling phase as much as we can, and we'll make sure to alter the frac around it as well. So this is what we've been usually doing there. We're crossing all borders.
Okay. Do you anticipate blanking a stage or just adjusting your frac intensity?
I believe that we're adjusting our frac intensity.
Okay. Do you know at this point, is your intent to continue producing that Rosencrantz well in 21?
Yes, I intended to continue to produce it if it's economic post-frac. So we will evaluate performance and pressures and whatnot, and we'll determine whether it will be returned to production depending on what it will take to get it back online.
Okay, thank you.
That concludes our hearing for case number 30482. Case number 30483. Application of Oasis Petroleum North America LLC for an order amending the applicable orders for the Arnagard Bakken Pool, McKenzie County, North Dakota to 1, establish 2 overlapping laydown 1920 acre spacing units described as sections 28, 29, and 30, and sections 31, 32, and 33, Township 150 North, Range 100 West, and authorize 5 horizontal wells to be drilled on each such unit. 2, terminate 2 overlapping 25 60-acre space units described as sections 28, 29, 32, and 33, and sections 29, 30, 31, and 32, Township 150 North, Range 100 West, or 3, granting such other relief as may be appropriate. All interested parties, please come forward.
Thank you, Mr. Examiner. Wade Mann, P.O. Box 2798, Bismarck, North Dakota, appearing in this case on behalf of Oasis Petroleum North America, LLC. I'll have 3 witnesses in this case. Greg Sandberg will be the land witness. Then it'll be John Prim again. And then we will have Corey Gilbert address engineering.
Mr. Sandberg,
Yes.
do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes, I do.
Greg, can I have you state your name, by whom you're employed, and in what capacity, and give us your business address?
Greg Sandberg, Oasis Petroleum Landman, 1001 Fannin, Suite 1500, Houston, Texas, 77002.
And Greg, have you previously testified before this commission?
Yes, I have.
Have you had your qualifications received as that of an expert?
Yes, they were.
And are you familiar with the land matters associated with the proposed spacing units?
Yes, I am.
I'd move the testimony of Mr. Sandberg be received as that of an expert.
Motion granted.
And Greg, let's start with exhibit number L1, if you can take us through that exhibit.
Yeah, L1 is the locator map showing us here in Township 150, 100, giving an outline of the proposed 3-mile laydown unit comprised of sections 28, 29, 30, and 31, 32, and 33.
Okay. Let's move on to L2.
L2
Sorry, go ahead.
goes a little deeper into those, showing our working interest in those 2 units at 69.64%. L3 will show the underlying 1280s, all operated by Oasis, and the corresponding working interest there at 74% in 30 and 31, just under 47% in 29 and 32, and just under 88% and 28 and 33.
Okay. And Greg, just to confirm, in addition to these laydown 1920s, there's currently a couple undeveloped lease line corridors that have 2,560 acre spacing that are inconsistent with your development plans, and you're seeking to terminate those 2 2560s, is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. I have no further questions for Mr. Sandberg. I'd offer the land exhibits.
Exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff?
Greg, when you were talking about the existing 1280s, you indicated that Oasis operates all of the existing 1280s. Is that correct?
That's correct.
The 29 and 32 looks like it has an XTO well on it currently. Is that part of the transfer that's currently pending between XTO and Oasis?
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Prim, just a reminder, you're still under oath.
Yep.
And John, let's start with G1, if you can take us through your structure map.
Yeah, so Exhibit G1 shows the upper Bakken structure map centered over 150 North, 100 West, with our 2 proposed DSUs outlined in blue and yellow. It shows the upper Bakken dipping towards the east from about negative 8,700 to 8,760. And also outlined are the type log of the Hagen 3329, which will be shown in Exhibit G3, as well as 3 existing Middle Bakken wells that cross-cut the 2 proposed DSUs.
Okay, let's move on to G2, your ISOPAC map.
Yep, and this ISOPAC map is centered over the same area, highlighting the same wells and proposed DSUs, showing the gross interval thickness of the Middle Bakken
ranging from approximately 28 to 30 feet thick across the proposed DSUs.
Okay, and then moving on to your type log, G3.
Yep, and this type log is the Hagen 3329. It is centered over the depth of interest for a reservoir interval with the middle Bakken highlighted there in yellow previous to the last case.
Okay. I have no further questions. I'd offer the geology exhibits.
Exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff? Mr. Gilbert?
Yes.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
I do.
Corey, can I have you state your name, by whom you're employed, and in what capacity, and give us your business address?
Yeah, of course. So my name is Corey Gilbert with Oasis Petroleum as asset development engineer. Business address be 1001 Fanning Suite 1500, Houston, Texas 77002.
And Corey, have you previously testified before this commission?
No, I have not.
Can you just briefly walk us through your educational background and relevant work experience?
Yeah, of course. So I hold a bachelor's degree in petroleum engineering from Texas A&M University. I started my career in 2014 with Oasis Petroleum. I've been in the industry as an engineer for a little over 9 years. I've held various engineering titles throughout my career, including drilling engineering, in which I supported drilling operations for the Williston Basin, as well as completions engineer, also supporting frac and cleanout operations in both the Williston Basin and Delaware Basin. And I currently work as a planning and development engineer, supporting our long-term rig line and development planning for North Dakota.
Corey, are you familiar with the the engineering matters that are associated with these two proposed spacing units?
Yes, I am.
Okay. I'd move the testimony of Mr. Gilbert be received as that of an expert.
Motion granted.
And Corey, let's start with E1, if you can take us through your proposed development plan, first for the northernmost laydown 1920.
So here we're looking outlined there in green, Township 150 North Range 100W, showing section 28, 29, and 30. We've got our proposed wellbores in purple there, shown 5 of them, targeting the middle Bakken, evenly spaced across the proposed unit from north to south.
Okay. And moving on to E2, the southern laydown 1920.
Yeah, so the same diagram here, just showing sections 31, 32, and 33 highlighted, again with 5 middle Bakken wells evenly spaced north to south across the unit.
And then let's move on to E3, if you can take us through the reservoir data and then the economics for the proposed wells.
Yeah, of course. So, again, middle Bakken target initial reservoir pressure just north of 8,000 PSI. We're looking at a net pay here of about 27 feet. Apologies. Average porosity 6.6%. Looking at original oil in place of 18 to 22, estimating a well EUR of about 750 MBO, with a recovery factor of about 15%. So overall economics, you're looking at a total per well of investment of about 11 million, and comes out to be a discounted PIR 10 of roughly 0.8.
Okay. So Corey, in your opinion, would establishment of these 1920s prevent waste, protect relative rights, and prevent the drilling of unnecessary wells?
Yes.
Okay, I have no further questions. I'd offer the engineering exhibits and the gas capture affidavit.
The exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff?
Corey, your plans for when you plan to cross those existing middle Bakken wells, drilling and then completion?
Yeah, so our initial plans would be to continue to produce those wells. However, our drilling group will stay in communication with our production group. If we do see any anomalies and decide that those wells need to be shut in, we'll take appropriate action to reduce risk. As far as the completion strategy goes, we'll take our survey and geological data as well as any additional information gathered while drilling underneath those existing wells, use that in determining whether or not we scale back our completion intensities for those stages directly underneath or above the existing Bakken wells.
Okay, thank you. And one more, I guess, thing for John real quick. Looking at your G3, it's not an issue in this case in that you're proposing Middle Bakken targets, but the Bakken pool for Arnegard does not go all the way down through the Three Forks. It would be a 50-foot lower limit. So if you were proposing deeper Three Forks targets, it would be an issue here. But just a point of note for future exhibits.
Sure. Thank you.
That concludes our hearing for case number 30483. Moving to the supplement, case number 30419. Application of Hesbakken Investments 2 LLC for an order amending the applicable orders for the East Fork and/or Wheelock Bakken pools to establish an overlapping 2560 acre space unit described as sections 1 and 12, Township 156 North, Range 99 West, and sections 6 and 7, Township 156 North, Range 98 West, Williams County, North Dakota, and authorize one horizontal well to be drilled on such unit. This case has been continued to the December hearings. That concludes our hearing for case number 30419. Case number 30422, application of Petro Hunt LLC for an order amending the applicable orders for the Kittleson Slough Bakken Pool, Burke County, North Dakota to 1. Extend the outline and amend the applicable orders for the Kittleson Slough Field to include all sections 20, 29, and 32, Township 159 North, Range 91 West. 2. Establish a stand-up 1920 acre spacing unit described as sections 20, 29, and 32, Township 159 North, Range 91 West, and authorize 4 horizontal wells to be drilled on such unit. 3. Establish an overlapping 3840 acre spacing unit described as sections 19, 20, 29, 30, 31, and 32, Township 159 North, Range 91 West, and authorize 1 horizontal well to be drilled on such unit. And 4. Granting such other relief as may be appropriate. This case has been dismissed. That concludes our hearing for case number 30422. Case number 30423, application of Petro Hunt LLC for an order amending the applicable orders for the Cottonwood and/or Kittleson Slough Bakken pools, Burke County, North Dakota, to establish 2 overlapping 3840 acre spacing units described as sections 23, 24, 25, 26, 35, and 36, Township 159 North, Range 92 West, and sections 24, 25, and 36, Township 159 North, and Range 92 West, and sections 19, 30, and 31, Township 159 North, Range 91 West, and authorize 1 horizontal well to be drilled on each such unit. This case has been dismissed. That concludes our hearing for case number 30423. Case number 30338, application of Continental Resources, Inc. for an order for the East Fork Bakken Pool granting an approximate 1920 acre overlapping drilling and spacing unit comprising sections 1, 12, and 13, Township 156 North, Range 99 West, Williams County, North Dakota, and authorizing up to 5 horizontal wells in the proposed overlapping space unit. This case has been continued to our December hearings. That concludes our hearing for case number 30338. Case number 30339, application of Continental Resources for an order amending the field rules for the East Fork Bakken Pool, Williams County, North Dakota as follows. 1. Create and establish an overlapping 1920 acre drilling and spacing unit comprising sections 1, 12, and 13, Township 156 North, Range 99 West, and 2. Authorizing the drilling of a horizontal well on said overlapping 1920 acre drilling and spacing unit with a lateral located approximately 397 feet from the west line of said proposed 1920 acre drilling and spacing unit. This case has been continued till the December hearings. That concludes our hearing for case number 30339. Case number 30340, application of Continental Resources, Inc., for an order amending the field rules for the East Fork Bakken Pool, Williams County, North Dakota as follows. 1. Create and establish an overlapping 1920 acre drilling and spacing unit comprising sections 211 and 14, Township 156 North, Range 99 West, and 2. Authorizing the drilling of a horizontal well on said overlapping 1920 acre drilling and spacing unit with a lateral located approximately 362 feet from the east line of said proposed 1920 acre drilling and spacing unit. This case has been continued to our December hearings. That concludes our hearing for case number 30340. Case number 30343, application of Continental Resources, Inc., for an order for the East Fork Bakken Pool granting a 1920 acre overlapping drilling and spacing unit comprising sections 24, 25, and 36, Township 156 North, Range 99 West, Williams County, North Dakota, and authorizing up to 5 horizontal wells in the proposed overlapping spacing unit. This case has been continued to our December hearings. That concludes our hearing for case number 30343. Case number 30344. Application of Continental Resources, Inc. for an order for the East Fork Bakken Pool and Wheelock Bakken Pool, granting a 3840 acre overlapping spacing unit comprising sections 1, 12, and 13, Township 156 North, Range 99 West, and sections 6, 7, and 18, Township 156 North, Range 98 West, Williams County, North Dakota, authorizing the drilling of a horizontal well on or near the section line between existing spacing units of said proposed overlapping 3840 acre spacing unit. This case has been continued to our December hearings. That concludes our hearing for case number 30344. Case number 30345, application of Continental Resources, Inc. for an order for the East Fork Bakken Pool and Wheelock Bakken Pool, granting a 3840 acre overlapping spacing unit comprising sections 23, 24, 25, 26, 35, and 36, Township 156 North, Range 99 West, Williams County, North Dakota, authorizing the drilling of a horizontal well on or near the section line between existing spacing units of said proposed overlapping 3840 acre spacing unit. This case has been continued to our December hearings. That concludes our hearing for case number 30345. Case number 30346, application of Continental Resources, Inc. for an order for the East Fork Bakken Pool and Wheelock Bakken Pool granting a 3840 acre overlapping spacing unit comprising sections 24, 25, and 36, Township 156 North, Range 99 West, and sections 19, 30, and 31, Township 156 North, Range 98 West, Williams County, North Dakota, authorizing the drilling of a horizontal well on or near the section line between existing spacing units of said proposed overlapping 3840 acre spacing unit. This case has been continued to our December hearings. That concludes our hearing for case number 30346. That concludes our hearings for the day. We are off the record.